Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to discuss something you all have been asking about, the hailing ritual, so stay tuned. Okay, I've been getting a lot of requests to go over and cover the hailing ritual that I use in my personal practice, especially when working with the Norse. Now, I have included it in certain videos where you see bits and pieces, or even, I think one time I actually used the entire ritual at one point, but it was only focused on, I think, one entity. And this is a ritual that I use as a overall broad spectrum ritual that I utilize early in the morning and in the evening to show recognition to all the entities I work with. And as many of you know, if you follow this channel, I work with a lot of entities. And I try to make sure that each category of entity I work with is recognized throughout this ritual. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember what the inspiration for this ritual was, where I found it. I've been looking through books and trying to find it so I could accredit the book or author who inspired me to design this ritual. So I can't remember. But if you find a ritual like this, shoot me a message, because I would like to be able to find that person so that I can drop them some credit in below for inspiring me to design and set this ritual up as I did. But if I do come across it and find it, I will make sure to add that to the description for sure. And for whoever that author is, thank you, because this ritual really did change my practice and help me out greatly. Now, that said, let's get into it. So, the hailing ritual actually does allow me to thank the gods and goddesses I work with, to thank the dragons, to thank my ancestors, any spirits I work with. I do separate out land spirits that I work with. And there is one term we will use in this ritual, Rokor. It's not a term I've been able to confirm, but it's most often used as a term to represent entities such as dealing with storms, moon, sun. Sometimes they're spirits, sometimes they're gods and goddesses, but they're not often lumped in with the main grouping of gods and goddesses, so some people have given them their own special group. And I started using that for these kind of offshoot gods and goddesses and spirits, and sometimes they are viewed as chaotic or mischievous and that kind of thing, so I did want to make sure that they got a special tip of the hat to them and weren't left out. So I tested it out some, and I've gotten a great response from it. And every entity that I find that would fit into that Rokor term, which comes from an Asair group, and it usually deals with like the darker entities like Loki and those. But they tend to enjoy the term. And I'm pretty sure if I would dig into the literature a bit more, I'd probably find where the term and reference comes from a bit quicker. I haven't. Instead, I just apply it and tested it, and it works. So you kind of have to use this particular term on your own. But again, this is just how I've set this ritual up. You can completely alter it. In fact, I would encourage you to try it out, work with it, and make adjustments as you see fit. Now, again, in this video, I will demo the exact ritual I use every morning and evening before I meditate. But let's go ahead and go over the ritual line for line, why that line's there and why I use it, so you can actually get a full, deep understanding of why I'm doing this ritual. Because this ritual takes 5 minutes or less to actually do it before my meditation. Okay, so my personal hailing rite will start with Hail to the Asair, Hail to the Vanir. Hail to the gods and goddesses of my people. This ritual was written during my deep Norse pathworking. So, Asair, Vanir, they get the top billing. Which, I'll be honest, if you look at any deities I work with, The Norse deities really are my primary focus. There's no way around that when we're talking about deities. So it does make sense to give that honor to them first, at least in my mind. Now, mind you, as I go down this list, this isn't putting a lesser honoring to anyone else. It's just starting there. And I did start there because I was writing a ritual that I could use for my Norse practice, though you could use this for any practice. Hands down. You could easily adjust that to Hell to the Gods of Olympus. You could even put the dragons on top billing if you wanted to. But I did include not only the Asair or the Vanir, because I do work with entities from other groupings and other deities. I put Hell to the gods and goddesses of my people. That specifically calls to every god and goddess that I work with and is thanking them, as well as to any ancestral gods and goddesses that my family has ever worked with. Again, since we're working with that ancestral mentality for a Norse practice, I wanted to make sure to include that. So I hope that makes sense. So this first line, whatever you want to put, you can put your direct one and you can broaden it out to just your ancestors as well. And you'll see why I use the word people here in a second. So the very next line after gods and goddesses is Hell to the ancestors. This is specifically calling out to all my ancestors, all the people who have done what they've done, worked hard. Yeah, they might not have been successful. Yay, they might not have been famous. Yeah, they might have done some bad stuff. But one thing is for certain, no matter what they did, they made some progress, some impact, even if they were just so crappy. It was an example of what not to do. And their lives, their actions built a foundation for the next generation. And every person is a product of that foundation, that building. My grandparents worked very hard to do the best they could to give a better life to their children. My parents worked very hard to do what they could to offer better opportunities for their children. And I am making the best of what they did to try and honor them, to make the best of my life and hopefully leave a better future. So yeah, I made sure to include the Hell to my ancestors. Now the next line is Hell to the spirits. I personally work with a lot of spirits, whether you count them as spirits of the dead, spirits of different planes, angels, demons. There's so many things that can fall under that word spirit, and I wanted to make sure that I covered it. And they're not exactly spirits that would fall into that ancestral area in my mind, and they're not entities that I view as gods either. So I wanted to make sure to tip my hat and show my respects to them, and that's exactly what this line is doing. So for any of the entities that would fall under that spirit category, say the 72 spirits of the Goetia, that would be a great category that would fall into this, because if I work with any of those, which I do, yes, some people may view them as demons or whatever, and some people may have worshipped them as gods at one point. But to me, they're friends and they're allies, and they fall into that broader spirit category. But they are still friends, they are still allies, and they are still important to me. So I am including them in my hailing rite in this particular line. Now the next line is Hell to the Landwights. I've been told I pronounced that wrong, but I've never been able to quite pronounce it right. But every time I hear it, it still sounds like Landwights. So look that particular word up, but it's essentially spirits of the land. And this is, again, focusing on those land spirits, spirits specifically tied to the land where I live. I want to honor them. I want to be respectful. I try to make sure I always work with the spirits of the local area where I am and befriend them and help them in any way that they need, and kind of become a caretaker, if you will, of them and what's going on. And they are quick to befriend me and also help me and my family. So that's always a great thing to do, and anyone in a magical practice, it's not a bad idea to do it. And this can also include Fae. Fae do definitely fall into the spirits / land spirits category, though Fae would probably cover a lot of these categories. Now the next one is Hell to the Rokor. Now I explained this term and what it is, And this is another category where some people say Fae would fall under it. Some people say land whites covers the Fae. Some people say spirits. Either way, I'm covering it on all bases, and it's there. I dedicated myself to trying this for a month to see how it went with the ritual, and I actually liked it. I got great results with it, so I never took it out. I remembered what my results were prior to it, and I remembered what they were after, so I was getting some really good results, and I just kept it in there. You do not have to include something like that if you don't want. In fact, I encourage you to design your own healing ritual based around the description we're giving and the details that we're doing. Or you can just use mine. I have no problem. If you just want to start a healing ritual using mine, go right ahead. And the final line, obviously, you're probably surprised it took this long. Hail to the dragons. I am a dragon magic practitioner. That is the base of my foundation of work. And that's the diagram that I approach all other path workings from in most cases. So why are they at the bottom? Well, to be honest with you, the dragons requested it. They wanted to be at the bottom billing because they're neutral. They don't care. They didn't even care if I gave a recognition to them in this particular ritual, but I wanted to. They're important to me. So they insisted if I put them in the ritual, I stick them at the bottom. So their position is strictly by their request. And they are in there. And it's amazing when I do this ritual because as I'm doing these calls, I can feel the energy of these entities taking notice of me as I do the ritual every morning. And it's just such a simple calling. Now, there's two ways to close the ritual. One, after that final line, you just say, Hail, Hail, Hail. And you go move into meditation. There is nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, that's how I often close it. Now, if you are starting a practice, you're starting to build up, you're new to it, and you don't have any other workings, you don't know what to do, or you're having problems in your life, even if you're an experienced practitioner, you're just having some trouble, turmoil, whatever, or you're just feeling a little down, you could use a boost, but you don't really know how to word it. I have a catch-all phrase that I utilize with my healing ritual. And that is, watch over me, guide me, teach me, help me to better myself and those around me. This phrase, this one phrase, pretty much covers the way I work with entities. I don't want them to do for me. I do want them to help me, but I want them to help by teaching me, guiding me, and helping me to better myself and all the people around me. And I can honestly say that this little phrase and this hailing ritual has made dramatic impact in my life. Because I am letting every entity out there that I have befriended, allied, and worked with know this is my goal. This is ultimately what I want throughout life. And they have done that. They have constantly sought to teach me. They have constantly been my guides. And they really, really have helped me to better myself and the people around me. In fact, the online school and this YouTube channel, this wasn't even a blip on the radar until after I had started doing this hailing ritual. And it was these entities that's like, hey, you can make a difference if you take what you're doing now and move it to an online platform. And honestly, I didn't think they were correct, but I trusted them and I followed them. I gave it a shot. And I now get emails daily of people telling me how much this channel has helped them, how much progress they've made, how it's completely changed their situation of their life for the better, and that their practice is going in very positive ways. They're getting a handle on their life. They're manifesting the life they want. And honestly, that right there, that is the best reward I can get for doing this work. So thank you for those emails. Keep them coming. Loving it. But of course, you can put anything in that little last snippet. If you are ill, feeling down, ask for healing. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Throw in that last little snippet whatever you want. After that snippet, that's when you would again throw in that closing. Hail, hail, hail. So, real quick before we demo it, let's give a quick read through on what it would sound like with the request and the closing. Hail to the Asair, hail to the Vanir, hail to the gods and goddesses of my people, hail to the ancestors, hail to the spirits, hail to the land wights, hail to the Rokor, hail to the dragons. Watch over me, guide me, and teach me to better myself and those around me. Hail, hail, hail. It's that simple. That quick, that easy. At that point, I would just move to meditation and I would sit within the energies that has been brought down and started with, and I would meditate. Some mornings, that's all I do. Sometimes I'll start it with the Dragon's Flame ritual. Some mornings I might start it with a hammer rite. But most days, honestly, most days, I just go in, do the hailing ritual, and do my meditation. And when my meditation's done, I'll either repeat the hailing ritual and then get up and leave, or I'll just get up and leave. Either way is fine. So, let's go ahead and show you the demo downstairs. Okay, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and walk through this. All I have in front of me is the Dragon's Eye Seal altar cloth. You can use it, like I said, with any form of magic or whatever. If I didn't have this, I'd have absolutely nothing in front of me, or just a small piece of cloth if I was going to do any offerings or anything, which I'm not this time. So this is just going to be a run through of what I would do every morning and evening before my meditation and how to utilize the hailing ritual. Well, take my head off here. Hail to the Asair, hail to the Vanir, hail to the gods and goddesses of my people. Hail to the ancestors, hail to the spirits, hail to the land wights, hail to the Rokor, hail to the dragons, hail, hail, hail. From there, I would actually go ahead and do all my meditations that I wanted to do that day, any workings, and then I would close by repeating it again. So, hail to the Asair, hail to the Vanir, hail to the gods and goddesses of my people, hail to the ancestors, hail to the spirits, hail to the land wights, hail to the Rokor, hail to the dragons. Thank you for watching over me, guiding me, blessing me, and helping me to better myself and those around me. Hail, hail, hail. And at that point, you're done. Close up, get up, and go on about your day. I'll see you back in the office. Okay, so as you can see, no bells, no whistles, no nothing. That is about as simple as it gets. And once you have that largely memorized, the framework, that's a little easy ritual you can do any place, anytime, real quick. Even if all you can do is tuck off into a corner real quick and say it, and say that quick prayer without the meditation and scurry off. It is a very powerful and potent ritual. So yeah, I mean, I do it quite a bit. There's days I've been having really, really rough days. I have wandered off to a place where I could be alone. If the only place I could be alone was a public restroom, I'd scurry off to there, and I would silently do the ritual. So it is very versatile, it's very short, and it's very powerful. Now, one question I have gotten from people who I've taught this ritual to is, what if I'm specifically focusing on one entity at this time? And that's where, like in the video I did for contacting a god or goddess, or the video I did on the goddess Freya. the incantation or the prayer that I use to contact Freya really is a singular hailing rite that focuses on her, which is Hail Freya, goddess of love and beauty, queen of the Valkyries, goddess of war and magic. Watch over me, bless me, guide me, and teach me to better myself and those around me. Hail, hail, hail. That is a very good example of a single hailing ritual that focuses on a specific entity. But that question also brings up a good point. How would you do this if you was doing a focused working with one entity, but you still wanted to show respect to all of them? So we're actually going to cover that specifically. Let's say that I'm focused on doing a working with Odin, and I'm dedicating, let's say, a whole month to Odin, and every day I want to make sure I spend time with Odin. I want to meditate with Odin. But I also don't want to just like fall off the grid and not talk to my friends and allies. So I want to make sure they know that I'm still thinking of them. What I would do is I would do a hailing ritual for Odin all the way through. Make sure he gets his own hailing ritual. Then I would insert the single hailing ritual that's the broad spectrum that covers everyone. So just a quick example of what that might sound like is Hail Odin, Allfather, King of the Asair, Lord of Valhalla. Watch over me, guide me, bless me, and teach me to better myself and those around me. Hail Odin, hail Odin, hail Odin. Then I'd wait a few breaths, focus on Odin, and I usually do 9 breaths, just in case you're wondering. And then I go straight into the larger hailing ritual of Hail to the Asair, hail to the Vanir, hail to the gods and goddesses of my people, hail to the ancestors, hail to the spirits, hail to the land wights, hail to the Rokor, hail to the dragons, hail, hail, hail. And then I'd go ahead and do my meditation / whatever workings I'm doing that morning or evening. It really is that simple. Now I'll make sure that there's a little write-up of my personal hailing ritual that I utilize below. Again, if I can find the author who inspired me to set that ritual up the way I did, I will definitely credit them because my absolute thanks goes out to them. I've always had trouble working it in so that every entity I work with is recognized on a daily basis. So this is a concept that really, really was fantastic. Anyways, I hope you give this ritual a try. Utilize it for a week or two. Make sure you take your notes. See what kind of results you get with it. And if you have any questions, drop them below. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the notification bell so you're notified anytime we release new videos. But the likes definitely help the channel. It helps us reach out more people, more seekers who are seeking this information can find it. Also, drop us a comment, even if it's just to say hi or ask us a question. That too also helps the channel out a lot. If you're interested in the online school, the Patreon page, or any of that, there's links in the description below. Also, remember, we do have a live stream every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Research and Ramblings of a Mage, where you can join me asking me questions. It's always a lot of fun and a chit-chat going. And on Sunday, we have the Magical Coffee Hour with the Linda from Caffeine and Chaos. She comes in, she hits me with a bunch of questions. I do my best to answer them. And if we have time, we also take questions from viewers live during that live stream as well. That's on Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you there for both. Anyways, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.